Well, hello, everybody. This is Empowering Democracy. I'm your host, Joe Firestone. My guest for tonight is my good friend, Dee Pierce, the co host of Around the World with Brandy and Dee.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you, Dee. I am very happy to have you.
Thank you.
Uh, so, this is, as I think I said, a Dump the Corruption show.
Yes.
It's about fundraising of five non-members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus who are regular Democrats, and they are Terri Sewell of the Alabama 7th, Greg Stanton of the Arizona 4th, uh, um, okay, also there's Ami Bera of the California 6th, Yadira Caraveo of the Colorado 8th, and Kathy Castor of the Florida 14th. Okay, I will begin with Kathy Castor. Okay, I believe, and I will share her. I should do a little bit of sharing on my own Facebook page, I think. If you'll excuse me for just a moment.
Well, I know Kathy Castor was hooked up with Hillary Clinton, big Hillary person.
Yes, I think so too. She's a big Hillary person. So let me get this out of the way here. And I'm going to go to Kathy Castor's Open Secrets page, or actually the page for her Florida District 14th 2022 race. And I don't think I've shared that. I don't think I've shared that yet, but I have to share it. I have it up. I just have to share the screen, see if that works. There it is. Florida District 14. So you should be seeing it now.
Yes, I see it.
Good. Uh, Kathy Castor raised $1,568,136. She spent $1,640,568, ended with cash on hand of $350,970. Kathy Castor is always very well funded. Uh, she ran against James Judge, who's a Republican. He raised $184,975, spent $183,092, had cash on hand at the end of $1,883. So there was some outside spending in this race. $918 in support of Kathy Castor, $8,865 in support of Jerry Torres, who was another Republican, but who did not get into the finals of this race. In other words, he lost in the primary. So let's go to the candidates page in this race. That's always the very revealing page. Kathy Castor, even with all that big funding advantage, got only 56.9% of the vote, which is I find very interesting. James Judge, with about 1/8 of the funding of Kathy Castor, still got 43.1% of the vote. this doesn't speak that well for Kathy Castor's chances in the future. You wonder
Yeah,
why.
well,
Uh, you wonder why the Republicans did not spend more in this race to try to unseat her. I think you were saying something, Dee?
yeah, there was a lot of news about her too, going back when Hillary ran for president and hanging out with Kathy Castor in the same circles, and I don't remember all that was brought out. So, I mean, a lot of Florida doesn't like Hillary. So,
Yeah, there was also something going on there, not so much in terms of whether Florida likes Hillary or not, but when it came to Nancy Pelosi distributing committee positions, uh, she was very favorable to Kathy Castor. Okay, in a situation where uh, she was getting competition from Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Okay, I was either on the Energy Commerce Committee or the Energy Subcommittee. But anyway, Kathy Castor got the appointment to that. And of course, AOC was cast aside. Uh, that was a position that AOC really wanted. There were small individual contributions given to Kathy Castor in the amount of $88,301. That was 5.63% of what she raised. Her large individual contributions from well off people were $869,393. That's about 55.44%. Her PAC contributions were $624,615, or nearly 40% of her contributions. So we see from this that she immediately fails a litmus test on two grounds.
yes, she does.
The first ground is her PAC contributions, which were 40% of what she raised, and in the hundreds of thousands. And also, she got 870,000, 55% from individual contributions greater than $200 from people who were well off or who were rich. So it's on those two grounds that she fails the litmus test. So that's one down, okay, and four to go.
Seems to be a pattern of behavior, right?
Yes, we seem to be playing a game of 10 pins here, something like that. So uh, let's go to California District 8,
Uh-huh.
where the Democratic candidate is one Yadira Caraveo. She was the winner of that race. She had some tough financial contributions from a Republican. His name was Barb, B-A-R-B, uh, um, but Kirkmeyer. Anyway, Yadira Caraveo raised $3,526,300, spent $3,508,758, ended with cash on hand of $17,542. And Kirkmeyer raised $1,565,205 and spent $1,533,352 and ended with $31,853. There was no data on another candidate by the name of Richard Ward, who was a libertarian. There was a good deal of outside spending in this race. Wow. In support of Caraveo, there was 1,134,675 spent in outside spending. But there was 10,051,170 in opposition to Caraveo. Kirkmeyer got outside spending of $1,783,716 in support of her. But opposing her was $5,461,746. So this is interesting because if we look at the totals for Caraveo, either through direct support, of Caraveo, or opposition to Caraveo, we see about $6.6 million spent on behalf, of Caraveo in the outside spending area. But either in opposition or support of Kirkmeyer, there is $12 million here. So outside spending that was against by Caraveo was twice as much as outside spending in favor, of Caraveo. So she had a big margin of direct spending in favor of her, 3.5 million to 1.5 million. So that was a margin of 2 million in direct support of her campaign that she had. But when it came to outside spending, that spending in support of Kirkmeyer was doubled, which I find very interesting. There was another Republican, Lori Sane was her name. She had 113,000 in support of her, but 401,000 opposing her. This is a very active race in outside spending. I don't know why, but I'll go over the outside spending later, and we'll get more information about that. But this is, again, the Colorado 8th District. For some reason, the outside spending groups got very active in this race. Probably was an open seat. That's what probably happened. Caraveo won. Yadira Caraveo won with 48.4% of the vote. And Bob Kirkmeyer had 47.4% of the vote. So there was only 1 point that was separating the two of them at the end. It was a close victory for the Democrats. There was a lot of money contending for victory here. And that's important for us to note, I think. For Caraveo, small individual contributions were 879,799. That's an appreciable amount of small dollar donations, suggesting that she had a good ground game. And it was 25% of her total contributions. But those small contributions were dwarfed by the large individual contributions, 1,947,680, 55% of what she raised. And the PAC contributions, 585,983, almost 586,000. That was almost 17% of what she raised. So even though she was very active in the small donations area, she still fails, the litmus test because of the money she took from well-off and rich people and the money she took from the PACs. So we see that here. She also got 112,000. That was in the other category. I have no idea why it was in the other category or what was going on there. But there were a lot of people who ran in this race. Here's a list of the Republican and Democratic candidates who ran in this race. Okay, there was Tyler, Tyler Alcorn, a Republican candidate. Steve Douglas, a Democratic candidate. Juliana Gray, a Republican candidate. Johnny Humphrey, a Democratic candidate. Jen Kuhlman, Republican candidate. Lori Sain, a Republican candidate. We saw that she raised a decent amount of money earlier. And Chaz Tedesco. So they were not important to the race, but this just emphasizes how popular the race was, how many people wanted to get in, and to try to get to winning an open seat. Let's look at the outside spending a little more closely again, see if we can get any more illumination about what this race was like based on the outside spending. We read the totals before, but outside groups spending money. There was a 314 Action Fund. That's a carry committee in favor of Democrats. $161,033. The American Conservative Union, another carry committee, spend $15,510, and they generally go for Republicans. The American Federation of Teachers, which is a 501c group, spent $98 in favor of somebody, blue. The American Leadership Super PAC, a Republican Super PAC, spent $122,361. Americans for Prosperity Action, another Republican Super PAC, spent over $1 million in this race, $1,130,752. The Center Forward Committee, which is a centrist Democratic group, Super PAC, spent $50,000. Colorado Conservatives for Retaking Congress, Super PAC, spent $80,000. Committee for Hispanic Causes, Bold PAC, spent $115,468. The Congressional Leadership Fund, which is Nancy Pelosi's group, that's Carry Committee, spent, that's the Republican, that's actually Kevin McCarthy's group, spent $5,726,772 on Republican candidates. And the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee did outside spending of $2,677,309 in this race. Energize Our Future Super PAC spent $19,099. Fair Share Action, which is a powerful Democratic Super PAC, spent $565,446. And then the House Majority PAC, which is Nancy Pelosi's Carry Committee, they spent $2,869,973. I don't know why this attracted so much outside spending. The LCV Victory Fund, which is, there are two Latino groups. There's a Latino Victory Fund, a carry committee. They spent about $37,000. But then there's an LCV Victory Fund Super PAC. They spent $314,867. And then there's the Let America Work Super PAC. Spent $446,616 on behalf of the Republicans. And the National Republican Congressional Committee, a PAC, did outside spending of $4,546,978. So those are the groups that really made a big splash in this race. And a big splash it was. The Republican spending was not successful in defeating Yadira Caraveo. However, let me look back at the candidates' spending once again. On the Republican side, by Kirkemeyer, 144,000 roughly in small dollar donations, large individual contributions, 818,572, PAC contributions of 401,723. So clearly, not even counting the outside spending, which was so heavily in Kirkemeyer's favor, she failed the litmus test as well, because she had so much large individual contribution support and PAC contribution support as well. I just wanted to make that clear. So, 2 down and 2 to go. Any comments on that last one, D?
I'd like to investigate that a bit and see what was the issue that had them so railed up. You had so many people running.
Yeah, that was interesting. There were probably environmental issues involved in the campaign, but it looked like it was more like an identity politics campaign. Could be the district is very heavy with voters whose background is Hispanic, and that it was really an identity politics game between Caraveo, and Kirkemeyer.
Okay.
But we'd have to look into that and see if that's what happened. But either way, the outcome was in favor of someone who was bought by big money.
Oh, yeah.
So there we have it. Let us move to the California 6th District, which is the district that has been occupied, by Ami Bera for quite some time. I'm not sure how many terms, but he seems to be pretty much a perennial there. He's not a progressive. He's just a conventional Democrat. I have to drink something here. So Bera raised $1,494,408, spent $1,788,293. He had cash on hand at the end of $1,735,133. So he's accumulated a lot of cash on hand in previous races. His opponent was Tamika Hamilton. She raised a good bit, $1,153,803, spent $1,152,647, emerged with $13,671. There was outside spending by candidate in support okay, of Ami Bera, there was $1,570,553 in support of him. There was no spending in support of his Republican opponent, Tamika Hamilton. There was $8 in opposition to Buzz Patterson, who was a Republican candidate who never made it to the final, and $8 in opposition to Christine Bish, another Republican candidate. So I'll look at the outside spending a little more later, but okay, even though Ami Bera did not have that big a fundraising advantage in direct money, only about 350,000 or so there. He had a great big advantage when it came to outside spending in his favor. I must already be on the outside spending here. No, I'm not. I'm in the summary. Moving to the candidates tab now. Am I sharing this successfully? Oh, D.
Yes, yes, you are. You're sharing it good.
Okay, good. Okay, let's see where I am. Bera won with 55.9% of the vote, in spite of the big funding advantage he had in outside spending. His small contributions were only $110,091. His large individual contributions were $608,429. So on that score, he fails a litmus test. The PAC contributions were $825,215. That was 55% of his funding. So he fails it on that score as well. And of course, he fails it because he failed to repudiate and oppose all of the outside spending in his favor. Tamika Hamilton, this is interesting. She gained a lot of small individual contributions, 591,861. It was 51.3%. So she is that rare Republican who went with the ground game, but she still would have failed the litmus test because she had 524,130 in large individual contributions, showing she had plenty of support from well-off and rich people. So she failed that litmus test too. But nowhere by as much, as Ami Bera failed it. That's for sure. So looking at the outside spending in more detail here, I'm just going to read the really big contributions here. A group called Honoring American Law Enforcement PAC, Super PAC, gave $1,093,558, or spent that much in outside spending in favor of Ami Bera. And then there was also, that was a super PAC, by the way. And then Law Enforcement for Safer America had a super PAC, and they gave him $476,100. So the law enforcement super PACs were out in force in support of Ami Bera. And they, of course, helped him to win in what was a fairly close race, as these races go. we see when we look at PACs, not super PACs, but PACs, that Bera was supported to the tune of $748,760 by business PACs, and only $47,600 by labor PACs, and $46,000, okay, by ideological PACs. And Tamika Hamilton, in opposition, only got $32,100, okay, from ideological PACs. So we see what the basis for Bera's support was from the PACs. It was business PACs. He's a corporate Democrat, and we see that quite clearly in what he got. So, any comments on that, Dee?
He's a corporate guy.
Seems like a corporate guy. We can look at sectors, see if there's any sector data here. No sector data here, but there is an industry tab, and the industry tab may be illuminating. Okay, health professionals contributed $301,309 to him. Pharmaceuticals and health products, another $89,700. He got from retired people $118,750. He was well supported by Democratic liberal groups, $68,000. Securities and investment PACs, $57,350. Lawyers and law firms, $51,150. Real estate, $46,860. Pro-Israel, $40,950. Health services, HMOs, $37,000. Insurance, $37,000. Education, $36,000. So a wide sprinkling of special interests were in his support, kind of across the board, but it was dominated a lot by healthcare interests, certainly. So we do get that bit of information. So let's leave Ami Bera. It's clear he fails the litmus test too. So we have 3 out of 3 tonight, and we're approaching our 4th candidate. Let me share this. 4th candidate. Share the screen. In the Arizona 4th District, we have the incumbent Greg Stanton as the winner. He was opposed by a Republican by the name of Kelly Cooper. Stanton raised $4,307,484 and spent almost $1 million more trying to win this race. He spent $5,317,818, ended with cash on hand of $33,342. Kelly Cooper, his Republican opposition, raised $1,577,648. Oh, by the way, Greg Stanton was an incumbent here. And he spent $1,518,904, and he ended with $58,744 cash on hand. There was no data for a libertarian candidate by the name of Stephen Jones. When we look at the candidates tab on this page, we see Stanton won by 56% to 44%. So a relatively close race compared to a lot of others we've seen, but not really that close. Uh, Small individual contributions for Greg Stanton, 6% of what he raised. And remember, he raised that $4.3 million. Large individual contributions, he had a big haul there, 64% of what he raised, 2,753,462. PAC contributions were 1,250,681. And so we see that since the PAC contributions were so large and the large individual contributions were also so large, that he fails the litmus test.
Yes, he's bought.
Yes, he's way below. By the way, if the Republican had won, he would have failed the litmus test too. He had 610,267, 37% of what he raised in large individual contributions, and 138,400 in PAC contributions. But in addition, this guy, or this person, well, his first name is Kelly, right? So it's Kelly Cooper. So I don't know if it's a he or a she, but whether it was he or she, the self-financing was 597,567, and we remember that the financing is the campaign taking contributions from a rich person, specifically Kelly Cooper. So that's a failure of the litmus test also if you self-finance. So both candidates there failed the litmus test. Let's look, and I didn't notice before whether there was any outside spending on this. Let me look at it here and see. Yeah, there was a lot of outside spending in this race. Uh, for Kelly Cooper, there was support of $186,809 from outside groups. But there was $3.5 million, $3,513,881 in opposition to Kelly Cooper.
Yes, Kelly Cooper's a male. I just looked it up.
Okay. So the male Kelly Cooper had a huge amount spent in opposition to him. Then another Republican, Tanya Wheelis, spent there was outside spending in favor of her to the tune of $1,026,541. It was supporting her. It wasn't in opposition to her. Greg Stanton had 351,499 in support of him, but only $3,708 in opposition to him. So actually, Kelly Cooper probably lost this race on the strength of the outside spending, which was against him. So, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, which was a PAC, spent $1,284,335. We can infer here that that was against Kelly Cooper. That was a lot of money. In turn, the Republican Congressional Leadership Fund only spent $175,000 in their Kerry committee in support of Kelly Cooper. The GOA Victory Fund, which is it's a Republican victory fund, a super PAC, spent $28,000 in favor of a Republican. I don't know which one, can't say. The House Majority PAC spent $1,947,009. That's a carry committee. Okay, the House Majority PAC, Nancy Pelosi's group. Almost $2 million spent on Greg Stanton, and another $1.3 million from the DCCC in favor of Greg Stanton. So, boy, that was an awful lot of money in outside spending, okay, in favor of the Democrat or against Kelly Cooper. Either way. Okay, the National Republican Congressional Committee spent $103,000, that's a PAC, in outside spending in favor of one of the Republicans. I don't know which one, of course. Service Employees International Union spent $98,880, that's a PAC, in outside spending for some Democrat, probably Greg Stanton. There was a super PAC, $441,240, the Strong Leaders Fund. It's called. I don't know who they gave the money to, but $441,240 is a big piece of change. The WFW Action Fund, is that the wrestling group maybe? I don't know. But they're a carry committee. They gave $900,493 to one of the Republicans. So outside spending was very active in that particular campaign. We see, though, everybody failed, okay, the litmus test. That campaign was about the money. Certainly wasn't about a ground game. It was about the money. So, 4 down, 1 to go. It's interesting to see how they fall. This next one involves the lone Democratic congressperson from the state of Alabama, the 7th district, okay, in Alabama, which we can infer is a black belt so-called district. Let me bring it up. I don't think I've done that yet. Going to share the screen for that. And the summary data tab tells us that total raised and spent. Oh yeah, this looks like a real. Okay, this looks like a district which is highly gerrymandered for the Democrats. The sole congressional district in Alabama, okay, that's Democratic, where they probably lumped in all the black vote. Terri Sewell, Democratic incumbent, raised $2,336,988, spent $1,684,536, ended with cash on hand of $2,895,932 for the next race. Her Republican opponent raised $47,729, spent $47,822, ended with $75 cash on hand. So that was kind of an open and shut type thing. Let's see what the vote totals were by looking at the candidates tab. The candidates tab tells us Terri Sewell got 63.6% of the vote. The Republican opponent got 34.8% of the vote. So it was a resounding victory, as one would expect from the discrepancy in fundraising. Small dollar contributions for Terri Sewell, $100 $783, 4.31%. Large individual contributions, $565,345, 24.2%, were large individual contributions greater than $200. So that's the failure litmus test right there. But also PAC contributions, 1,679,748. 72% of what was raised came from PACs for Terri Sewell. So the second criterion based on which Terri Sewell fails, okay, the litmus test. Okay, the Republican candidate raised in small donations $15,757, 33% of what was raised, but had large individual contributions of 30,529. So the litmus test was also failed in that sense by Beatrice Nichols. Let's see if there was any outside spending in this race. I doubt that we'll find any because it was a rather one-sided race. You don't usually find outside spending in that. There was $238,842 in outside spending supporting Terri Sewell. There was a super PAC called Autism Hear Us Now that gave $238,834 to Terri Sewell. I guess autism is her thing as a legislature. Planned Parenthood Super PAC gave $8 to Terri Sewell also. So not much. But we see Terri Sewell handily fails, okay, the litmus test. And we now have, well, let's take a look at the PACs and just see what was going on in the PAC sector. Oh my God. She got $1,579,061 from business PACs. Only $88,500 from labor PACs. $35,290 from ideological PACs. So she has a huge quantity of business money that went to her in that particular district. That certainly tells you something. Okay, any comments or questions about?
Well, that's her district. It seems they all know her, and
Okay, Bonnie has a question.
Then the voting people are sending in money to a certain candidate, and it looks like they're losing. Do they ever throw their money to another candidate? Has it ever been done?
Well, sometimes in the primaries, if you have two candidates competing, okay, in one of the parties, and one candidate steps out, it's possible that that candidate will make a contribution to the candidate that stays in from their funds. What's more common is for them to endorse the other candidate and to suggest that people contribute to them.
Okay.
That's what I think happens more often.
right.
Okay, but I think the significant thing about this race is that this is a district. There's a large black population, okay, in Alabama, but it's concentrated in an area known as the Black Belt. So what they did is they gerrymandered this district in such a way that the very, very heavy majority of the black vote would be in District 7. And so Terri Sewell has practically a guaranteed seat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if she could be challenged in the primary, okay, at all. That depends on local conditions that we are not privy to. But from the standpoint of the litmus test, uh, she failed it. We have now gone over 9 regular Democrats. The pattern of their fundraising is very much like the Congressional Progressive Caucus. It's not really that materially different. If anything, it's more business oriented, but they're taking plenty of PAC money and plenty of large contribution money and some outside spending money. So we don't see a different pattern so far.
No.
What we see is the same corruption after 9 candidates. Now we're going to do about 20 to 25 candidates here, conventional Democrats. But I expect this pattern is going to hold. Might take us a week or two to get there, but we will get there to the 20 or 25 of these candidates before we move to the Republican Party. Though we're already getting hints from some of the Republicans we've seen here in these races that the same pattern is going to be seen on the Republican side.
Yes, we see the importance of dumping the corruption.
Yes, that emphasizes the importance of dumping the corruption, because if you do dump the corruption according to the litmus test, you will, based on what we've seen so far, totally change the Congress and defeat both major party candidates in congressional district after congressional district. Steve Wolfbrand says, another one bites the dust. Steve also says, thank God it's Friday. Steve says, smash the like button. KRTD Media says, hello. I presume that's Shane. Hello, Shane. Steve Wolfbrand says, oh, could be Jimmy, too. Yeah, Steve Wolfbrand points out it could be Jimmy. Could be, yeah. Steve Wolfbrand says, wow, 12 million. He says, maybe I should run for something. You damn well should run for something, Steve. That would be fun. Uh, so, okay, Lana says, Kay, are you available for a phone call this weekend? Steve says, hi, Lana. Kay says, about what? About a subject of Medicare for All in Ohio. Lana's trying to set up something, trying to get 50 state support for Medicare for All. Steve Wolfbrand says, smash the like button. Kay says, laugh out loud. Good luck here. We have SPAN here. Single payer for all. Gone. Nowhere. And it says, well, someone needs to pick the ball back up and start running with it. It's okay. I will stick to Minnesota. Whatever. Kay says, good try, but this state has voted rump over and over. Steve says, 2024 should be interesting. Buy your popcorn now. It'll be interesting if we can get this movement going, people.
Oh, yes.
If we
That
can
would
make
be
Dump the Corruption a movement to reckon with, then you should buy your popcorn for the 2024 elections. Because we're going to shake some people to their roots. Kate says, sorry, Lana, but this state is a mess in too many ways. Okay. Well, that covers our comments. Have you any other comments, Dee, before we say goodnight?
just, everybody's really got to get involved with dumping the corruption, however you can.
Yes, however you can. And please do buy me a coffee. please do occasionally visit my Patreon account and make a contribution. That would be very much appreciated, so I can keep the lights on here and keep on going with all the work I'm doing, not
Mm-hmm.
just to dump the corruption stuff, but also the empowering democracy stuff and the help that I'm giving to Brandy and Dee
Yes.
around the world with Brandy and Dee.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Bob.
We love his knowledge. He's Joe's extensive knowledge of world politics.
Oh, well, thank you, Dee. And we are loving the Around the World with Brandy and Dee show.
Thank you.
It's always very interesting
Yeah.
and always very relevant. And we really love it. So, on that note, then let us say good night. This is the last of my regular shows for this week. I may participate in a Brandy and Dee show over the weekend,
Yes,
but
we'll be there Saturday and Sunday.
but I will certainly be back. Well, I should say, if the creeks don't rise, I will be back on Tuesday on my regular schedule.
Sounds great.
So thank you for coming, folks.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
And thank you for being here, Dee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Good night.